Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Fred Caney from the Valley Bigfoot and the Inside Virginia Squatch. This evening on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the survival of Bigfoot. Now, your comments, since I don't know how to do it right, send your comments to Daniel Benoit of the ECBRO. He'll be the man who'll be taking care of that.
Hey, let me
And,
wait. Let me jump interfere. Just actually on the live chat, they can still leave it on
okay,
the live chat. I can view it on my end, so just make
okay,
sure they comment
yeah,
below where they're watching.
yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Whatever. Okay, it worked. It worked. But anyway, basically we're gonna be talking about survival of Bigfoot. Okay, I'm gonna start going through the panel. But before that, Dan, you got any comments you like to make before the show?
Yeah, just for those who are familiar, we had a. I'm going to tell you what. Last night's show, it was mind blowing to a lot of people. First of all, I mean, right now, like I said, we just got done it last night. It's got over 500 views already and over 65 likes, which is awesome. Anyway, because a lot of people, I think a lot of people understood the whole thing, and I think it got, you know, I think it might have reached a few people in a good way, which that was actually my intention. So as ugly as it may have sound throughout the podcast, another note, for those who know me and see a lot of my stuff shared on my YouTube channel, ECBRO98, this weekend I'm going to do a follow-up research in the area I've been working on. Rain or shine, I will be out there tomorrow night. Tomorrow evening, I'll be setting up my camp. And yeah, I'll be out there, and everyone knows I always share updates, my findings. If I find anything, you, all the viewers, and everyone who watches and keeps up and follows my research, they will see what I share. Like I said, my recent stuff's right on my YouTube channel, so definitely check that out on ECBRO98. And and as far as expeditions, me and Fred got one coming up here with first weekend of May. Um, yeah, the first weekend in May, me, Fred, Lael, and her cousin, we're all going to be joining together and doing a little research, and hopefully, I think that's going to be a great time. And May 27th through the 30th, that'll be a long weekend. I will be out that weekend, and I'm willing to take anyone who's willing to come along. And then the ECBRO is conducting a expedition June 4th through the 11th, and that's going to be awesome. We got some great people coming participating in that. If you want details, contact me. You can find me on Facebook, Daniel Benoit of the ECBRO, or email me at ecbro98@gmail.com. And there you go. It's all you, Fred. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. All right, now the reason that I wanted to do this podcast tonight, is the survival of Bigfoot. Um, Anybody who's got any comments, get a hold of Daniel and leave and or got any questions, go to message him and so like he'll bring them up and everything. But I just want I want to hear everybody's opinion. I want to know what they think about what's happening with the survival of Bigfoot, say from Canada to Washington State down to Mexico, down to Key West, Florida's, even in Bahamas, if they got any down there, which I don't know, up into Virginia, on the East Coast. The way I see it, um, the way the population is built, I went riding around this morning after I went and um after I went turkey hunting this morning and everything, and it was it's a lot of land that was good farmland, they're tearing down and okay. Uh, they're basically what they're doing is taking farmland and turning it into apartments. And they're taking away our they're taking away the land for the for the Bigfoot and everything. And that's kind of freaking me out. Because I need to You know, I knew. You know, we need to have our dang it. We need to have our Bigfoot around. You know, and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that's my little theory for right now. I want to hear the other panel. All right, Steve, what do you think about the situation with Bigfoot?
Well, uh, they you know, I don't think they really have any natural predators other than maybe the grizzlies up north, and you get down in the south, down in the swamps, maybe an alligator. But alligators aren't as aggressive towards people as what people think they are. They're actually really scared of you unless they're really hungry.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you go back to the 1800s. The population wasn't a part of what it is now, and the more we're growing, the more we're encroaching. So, of course, you're going to have more sightings because we're approaching now. If that field is part of a certain clan's territory, and we push that clan into another clan's territory, what is that going to cause between those clans? They're going to fight, then it could cause a lot of issues with them, and like I said, with them not having a lot of natural predators, the only thing that they have to really do is breed. Now, how often do we breed? We don't know. Gorillas breed. I think they only have like 4 babies in a lifetime or whatever. So it's hard to say how long before they can even have a baby or how much. But they're going to populate, and as long as they're populating and nothing is killing them, it's going to grow. It may be a very slow growth, but it's going to grow. So like I said, the more we go into the woods, the more likely we're gonna, encounter them. And they're changing. It's changing their survival habits because around where we live at, they're gonna hit dumpsters. They're gonna hit people's pets. They're gonna survive. They're opportunists. They're gonna survive any way they can. It's not like up in Canada, up in the forest where they survive off the land like a normal animal does.
yeah.
So, and the more they get accustomed to us, I think the more we're gonna see them. The more chances they take to come into our territory to get food or whatever, it's going to cause conflict somewhere. We're going to see more of them.
Okay, what do you think of the process? What do you think of the process of them? You've heard people say, "Well, we've seen them dumpster diving." What's your opinion on that? As far as them dumpster diving,
Like I said,
do
they're
you
an
think
animal.
that they're gonna?
They're gonna survive. If they have to go in a dumpster to smoke, there's Gilligan right there. All right, Gilligan, how you doing?
There you go.
How's your fishing trip, there, buddy?
Stacy,
Hey,
what are you doing?
hold on one second. Hey man, I'm on this hangout. Alright. Probably gonna hit a block when you get back. What's up, bro?
All right, cool. All right. While I got you on the air right here, I'll come back to you, Steve.
Yeah, that's fun.
Your opinion on the survival of Bigfoot and the Florida skunk ape. What do you think the situation looks like right now due to the population of people and going into cutting our forests and everything? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. People
Yeah, be honest, man.
ain't gonna do nothing but help the situation out. Most of the activity that I find in Florida is right around houses. Okay, they're coming up there to scavenge, do whatever they do. Uh, Florida is the best habitat in the country. I've been all over the country, and I firmly believe that Florida has the best habitat to support these creatures. Now, that's not saying they can't live out west or anywhere else, because bears thrive in every other place in the country. But when you just come to looking at available food sources, and if I had to survive in the woods, Florida would be my pick. I mean, there's just so much. It's so plentiful here. Shit don't grow in a damn cold climate, and Florida has very little of cold. If that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
now I live. Yeah, now I lived in Oklahoma for a little
Okay.
while down there, and even though I worked at Gator Joe's down there right on Lake Weir, you know
Yeah.
that place. Yeah, okay.
Uh,
I was a bartender and a cook there, and I've noticed when I go out of town, well, across the lake, looks like fancy houses, But when I go back to the wooded area, I've seen tracks back there, back on the back side of town, But I really didn't register it at the time, But of course, everything over in that area is nothing but sand anyway, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think they take a length to hide themselves, to conceal their tracks. These animals are very skittish. It's almost like a coyote. If you've ever tracked a coyote, you can see how it kind of he'll walk for a few steps and be straight, and then he's gonna kind of like go real fast for a second because he's real skittish, and any noise that happens in the woods, he's reacting to, and I believe these creatures are the same. But I believe our problem is they're hiding in plain sight. They're doing just fine,
Yeah.
and everybody's tramping out way into the woods to look something. It's like, okay, here in Jennings State Forest, where I'm at now, over in Jacksonville, it's a massive state forest.
I've been
Uh,
I've
but
been in
but
there.
all the activity happens right around the houses that live on the edge. It's because they're coming up there to scavenge and do certain, other things that bears get blamed for,
Well,
which makes sense.
yeah, when I lived down there, I mean, houses were going up like cardboard boxes, man. Prefab homes. They even had people. They even had tractor trailers coming in, rolling the grass out. They got to have a
Yeah,
house
yeah,
built in like well, like 3 days. And but
yep.
they keep expanding, going out and out and out and out further. It kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Well, the economy's kind of bottomed, in most places in Florida.
Yeah.
Uh, so the buildings kind of stopped unless you're in a area like Jacksonville, where there's major ports here, and so you've always got jobs here. You know what I mean? But then you get over to where I live, people are broke as fuck. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of houses being built. The only people that are moving in and building houses are people that got money that they got from elsewhere.
Right, because when I first went down there, I lived in Lady Lake, and
Okay.
I lived right up above the shopping center where it's golf carts, riding golf carts riding everywhere, and rich people, But I really didn't see that much, coming up there. But the places I worked, because I worked when I first went down there, I was putting up screen porches, for these
Yeah.
trailer courts and everything, and that's what, like you said, it was money, and money is what buys everything down there.
Yep. Well, back to the Bigfoot thing. Yeah, I don't feel. I honestly believe if that in the next 10 years, if this thing's not discovered, we're not going to get it. He's going to be gone.
Well, how?
There's not that many of them. Most of your people, you figure I get through my dealings and my website and stuff like that. I probably get about 400 reports a year. Okay, on my
Okay.
own. Like my guy that answers my phones gets those. Uh, I'm going to say 95% of those are straight up lies, just bullshit. And then, so you have some misidentifications in there that probably take up about 3% of that last 5%. So you got like 2% of people that are actually seeing these creatures. If
Right. What?
people were seeing a Bigfoot as much as they say they are, I swear to God, I'd have killed the motherfucker by now.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's definitely true. It's true. Okay. Well, how's your research going anyway?
That's going good, man. I lay low. I don't really put my stuff out anymore. We've got some strong pieces, but I don't have that DNA yet, and that's what
You taking?
I'm
Are you
going
taking?
for. I mean,
Yeah. Are
I
you
can,
taking? Are you taking your boys out with you?
at times, we went out the other night. I do a lot of it by myself. I just, it's hard to come up on an animal in general when you've got more than one person.
Yeah, you're
Because I can
exactly
sit
right
still,
there.
I can lean up on a tree, or I can climb myself up into a tree, and I'm completely quiet. But then you add another asshole into the picture, and then you've got two assholes, and so it's harder to keep everybody quiet. And because the dude won't tell you, "Oh, hey, my old lady," I don't give a fuck about your old lady, guys. We're Bigfooting right now. So I usually go by myself, uh, but I don't post a lot of my stuff anymore. I used to, but it's kind of redundant. It's anything that I find is not going to be 100% proof. So you won't really see anything come out of my camp until we have that 100% proof, because what are you going to do? Open yourself up to a million questions that I don't, first of all, want to answer.
Yeah,
And,
true.
you know, people talking shit because I guess that's what their lives have came to amount to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ryan with the glass eye.
He
Yeah,
was
you
just
see that? I was just
he was
asking
asking
Daniel.
Okay.
how to get it off.
I want to hear your theory on opinion on it now of what you think, what you're seeing.
Do it in the Colonel Klink voice.
Right. I was actually going to ask Stacy real quick. Do you guys have? Do you get a lot of logging down there?
Yeah, you know, the pine trees grow pretty quick. You can see a turn, you know, within 15 to 20 years on your pine tree lot, and you can log it. Actually, my research area, where I spend most of my time, they log the hunting lease that's on the back of it that I've failed to acquire the rights to, but hopefully that's going to happen soon. Anyways, they went in there and logged it, kind of thinned it out, you know. But yeah, you have a lot of logging going on here. The state's the main logger, or I guess it's the federal government. You know, they own the national forest. They log them a lot. Um, but it's not to where they log it and just leave this whole plain. They do it right. You know what I mean? They log. They don't just go in there and clear cut everything. They'll log a certain section because they want to have income for every single year. So, and when they log, they replant, and you know, in 5 years, you've got these pine trees that are head high and it's full of deer.
Well,
So
that's why I asked.
logging's a good thing.
It is, but that's why I asked, because 9 out of 10 people that I've spoke with, a lot of their research is going on near the pines. It seems like all the encounters, a lot of things that are going on is oh, you know, it's near the pines. You always hear that as a reference. And I noticed in New York, where I'm at, this year they logged a ton of pine trees. I mean, substantial. And it was awkward because instead of them taking everything, they left a ton of trees all over the ground. They didn't even clean it up. I should take photos of it and just show everybody what they did in certain areas. But I believe when they do that logging, they're pushing the Bigfoot out of that area to other areas that they're not, you know, wanting to go. They're forced into these certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really believe that the Bigfoots are forced into anywhere. You know, they kind of that's why we had such a problem finding Saddam Hussein. The fucker stays on the move. You know what I mean? It's not really like Bigfoot's heading down and build a 2-story house.
Do you
know,
believe
it's
they have
constantly moving. So when the logins happen, they kind of skirt out. They're nomads. You know, I mean, that's the only thing I can. If I didn't want you to find me, I wouldn't stay in a spot long. I would constantly be on the move.
right,
You
but
would
like,
find trace evidence of me, but you wouldn't find where I stayed.
but you don't believe like a big buck or anything like that, like the way a buck is. You know, he has his core area and he travels back a lot. Do you believe they're kind of like that?
I mean, they got a range, but they got a range. A buck's gonna have its range that he stays in, you know, and when they'll avoid an area, but it's not like it's gonna be detrimental to what they're doing. They'll just skirt around it. But a lot of times, dude, we hunt in these clear cuts. You know, because these bucks,
Yeah.
if we're talking about deer, they'll come right out in the open early in the morning, and the big just not as dumb. You know, they're going to skirt around any area that's logging. So the logging may delay them from coming in there for a few weeks, but soon enough, rabbits, you know, whatnot, they leave these piles of trees, and that's what the animals are going to get into, you know, the small critters to hide from whatnot, and then, you know, shit come up there and eat them. So.
Okay, interesting. Heck yeah. All right.
Sorry.
Leah.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of the situation as far as the survival?
I think that along with all the other animals, as building increases, they do get pushed out of the areas they've always been in, and that's why, you know, maybe there are more Bigfoot sightings, more deer getting hit, you know, that kind of thing. Because people are now living in what was woods and their trail paths and all of that, and they're thrown off course. And I believe the Bigfoot are scavengers to a certain extent. I think they have everything and can get everything they need, but I think if there's easy food, a dumpster, a garbage can, I think they'll dive right in and go for it too. So I think I agree with obviously what everybody has said. I think we are encroaching a little more than ever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think that? Do you think they migrate? One, and do you think they migrate for survival, or do you think they would migrate for sexual purposes?
Me?
That question's to you, Leo.
Anybody.
Who
It's
you
her.
asking me?
Well, anybody on the board here.
Who's that directed to?
I think
Well, I'll give my small opinion, and then the other of you more educated ones about it can chime in. I think that they could migrate to some extent for warm and cold weather, like go up a mountain in the summer where it's cooler and come down a mountain in the winter where it's warmer, that kind of thing. And who knows if they travel across the country or not, but I don't know. I just don't really kind of, that's a long damn way. I think they kind of stay in what area, in a few state area or whatever, if you see what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. All right.
For mating, I don't know. Maybe they did like the Indians and had big powwows where everybody has a picnic in summer and find their true love. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think migrate's the wrong word.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. My opinion on that is okay. Number one, during hunting season, they disappear. But yeah, I do believe that they do migrate for survival, and a very slight possibility of mating. But I do know, and I don't know if you know about this yet or not, Stacy. I don't know about your area, but in my area, I've noticed that they come back to the place where they were born at to give birth to their young and maybe to mate. But during winter time, they haul ass because there ain't no more rifles around, during hunting season. But they come back in the spring and they come back right to the areas that they were born in to give birth. Yeah, to give birth to their young and everything. Okay, Daniel. Daniel,
Yeah, I'm here.
it's
Yes,
your
sir.
turn. Let me hear your shit now.
Well, I'll keep it short and simple. First of all, I mean, to understand survival of a Sasquatch, first of all, we need to first know a Sasquatch, period. Now, some of the talk about the food, what they might dumpster dive. I mean, there's reports of that, and so that's possible that they do that for desperate times, whatnot. Like what Stacy was mentioning, a lot of times they're reported coming into neighborhoods because perhaps that's part of their desperate, due to whatever reason.
Yeah.
You
Keep
know,
going. Keep going. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as far as something that Layla mentioned, that kind of brought something to my mind. As far as going up to higher elevation for depending on weather, I believe that is actually very accurate as far as, but in the sense to avoid mankind. For example, let me give you this scenario. Like I know my area, parts of Fred's area, and a lot of it a lot of us kind of do our thing in like a lot of these national forests and stuff. And then in these forests, there's activities that take place. You got hunting during the hunting seasons. If these areas have rivers and lakes, there's fishing, and then you got other campers. There's people that move into these areas during the seasons, like as far as the summer, spring, summer times. So therefore, with these other people coming to the area, and these creatures want to remain elusive, they're going to take themselves deeper into the woods, perhaps on higher ground where it's unlikely for most people to actually venture into. So yeah, high elevation and deeper in, I believe that's very possible. Actually, more of a logical sense of thinking, depending on the location and the area and the terrain. I mean, I think each region, each area is a lot different, and it all depends on the layout and the territory of the land where you're at, where the population of a Sasquatch may exist. Um, but and then the biggest, yeah, I know. I was catching on to listening to some of the things you guys are talking about as far as a Sasquatch possibly having a predator or anything. A Sasquatch's worst enemy is mankind, and the wrong kind of mankind. I mean, you got
Yeah.
there's people out there that's corrupt, and those are the ones that Sasquatch would have to worry about. I mean, it's like trust. If you want somebody's trust, you got to earn their trust. And I believe it's the same thing in the world of Sasquatch. You got to earn their trust. For example, like in areas like Fred goes into, I go into, I've I've been close to them, and I've experienced activity up close, and I believe it's because they get comfortable, they feel like I think they get used to you, yet they're gonna keep their distance and not gonna show themselves. You might get fortunate and see something, but in my opinion, I mean, trust has got to be earned, but then as far as the survival, like I said, what I was just speaking about, um, yeah, they're gonna keep their distance. Um, as far as being on high elevation during the summer times when people move in. I mean, but and for one thing, they're very smart. They know how to just stay away. It's like walking the other way. That's basically all they do. But now surviving, if you want specific questions, I mean, depends on survival for what in particular. Food, staying elusive. There's a number. I guess there's a number of topics related to the survival subject itself. But with all that being said, that was just my opinion, my 2 cents on it.
All right,
So,
cool. Well, what happened to Stacy? He disappeared on us?
it might have been his phone. I think he's on his phone. I think he might have
Oh,
had an issue with it.
oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, if anybody's got any questions, send them to Daniel. I'm dying to hear what the public has got to say on that subject. So don't be bashful.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Everybody comment on the live chat right below where you're watching this show, and I checked earlier. I'm going to check again, see if anything popped up. So if you guys are watching and you guys got questions, comments, or anything you want to share, right here where you're watching this show, especially if you guys are regulars, you guys know where to comment on the live chat.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to check that very shortly.
Okay.
Because your questions and interaction, just like I share with everybody on my podcast shows, the same thing here. Your interaction really helps and adds to the discussion. So
Yeah.
give me a second. I'll get to it in a second, Fred.
All right, Ryan.
See, back to my thing, like I was saying for migration.
Yeah, go
My whole
ahead.
my whole situation is, I think they have their core areas. Like Stacy was saying that they're always on the move. I think they have their core areas, which may be birthing or whatever anybody thinks it is. But I think they come back to those core areas like a old mature buck would do, because that's their instinct. But sorry, I had some feedback. But I think that kind of lost my train of thought there.
You say it's like a buck coming back to an old area to rut.
Yeah.
they have their core areas,
Yeah.
but you
That
don't
feed,
necessarily
that
that they
feedback
migrate.
that feedback screwed me all up.
Yeah.
That was probably
But
my fault because I was starting the video. I was going through the live chat, and when I forgot to hit pause as soon as possible because it starts playing on my phone when I'm trying to look at the live chat through my phone. Sorry
uh,
about that.
Okay.
no, it's not a big deal. But as far as migration, like for survival, I think that everybody always says, you always hear it on TV. Oh, well, they migrated because the deer and the elk and whatever animals had to come down off the mountain to survive themselves and this,
Well,
that,
that's
and the third.
yeah,
Well,
well, you know, that right there, it could be, like here in Virginia, we got plenty of deer and everything, so they ain't got no chase them
right,
up. But out west, you got, good example. Uh, a year or so back, somebody caught and zoomed it in a picture, a video, a film or picture or something of two Sasquatches chasing a herd of buffalo.
right. Well, like I was saying, is the thing is,
Hawk
if everybody says that it's all about migration for food, there's an abundance of deer. There's an abundance of all kinds of animals everywhere.
Exactly.
I do not believe that they would have to move or migrate for food. I believe the only two reasons they are moving is to elude us, for one, and to possibly for mating purposes. Um, we don't know how they mate. We don't know if it's. A lot of people say inbreeding. A lot of people say, you know, it could be their clan. It could be what maybe one has a wife. Who knows? We don't know how they work. But for if you try to group them into like a buck category, because that's a big game animal, a buck will roam when he's in heat. We don't even know if they go into heat. We don't know how they work. So there's so many variables for them to migrate that I would lean more towards sexual preferences. That's why we get these peaks and valleys. Everybody says, "Oh well, I had all kinds of experiences in these 3 months," and then it's just like dead. So maybe those are the times they're going into some type of heat pattern where they're searching out mates or searching out whatever, or they're locking down on their core area, kicking others out for mating. So we really don't know. But if you notice and you pay attention to the reports, different times of the year and in different parts of the country, there are a lot more activity. There is a lot more activity going on.
All right.
Well,
Hey,
Like, go
hey,
ahead.
hey, who's that Pez guy again? That you told
Who?
me that guy you told me to friend. Pez?
Who,
Oh,
me?
No.
Tom?
Yeah, Tom Petz.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
No, I just wanted to throw something in there in
All
regards
right.
along the lines of what Ryan was just sharing with us. Uh, Now you know what I want to state this as a fact, but yet I'm going to present that as an opinion. And this is something I've shared in blogs, also in my book. Now this is I'm going to tell everybody I think the best thing you could do, and I've shared this in different ways. I'm going to present it like this. The best thing you could do to understand a pattern of a Sasquatch. And now this may not be accurate with all of them. I think it varies. But a majority of my observations studying bears, you will see a very common pattern with a Sasquatch and bears. They have very common traits. They have, not just their tracks are almost mistaken, but there is a real picture here. There is a real situation, a real comparison with bears and Sasquatch. As far as any kind of migration, hibernation, so forth. Now we know here most black bears in North America, especially here on the East Coast, the black bears do not hibernate completely. They might slow down that time of year, but they still scavenge around and look for food. And and they don't move. They're not as active as they become like in spring and throughout the summer. So I believe that's the same situation as a Sasquatch, because isn't it common to see more activity and more signs of a Sasquatch during the spring and summer than we do throughout the winter? Yeah, there's tracks that are found during the winter. Given the cover of the snow, it reveals tracks, just like a bare dirt or mud might expose obvious tracks. So what I advise people to do is start observing the black bears and understanding your black bears, their movement, their patterns, their diet, and then you'll start seeing a serious connection here. And then for someone that's you'll take what I'm saying, turn it around in a negative way. Well, perhaps all you're learning is about black bear, because a Sasquatch, what you think is a Sasquatch, I mean, you might be following the bear.
Right.
But no, there is a serious difference, but yet there's a comparison. There is an equal to their behavior and patterns. So that's all I'm saying is learn your black bears. Black bear or something that you might want to kind of follow close to when, if you want to know more and understand a Sasquatch, start understanding a black bear. And with that said, along with your other known wildlife too, because start following their patterns. The deer, especially your deer, if you got herds of deer or elk in your area, know their movements and the time of year they stay in these areas and they travel. Elk are more you know, elk are more common to stay in herds than a deer does, and they're a lot of times they are in the higher elevations.
See, I don't have any elk here in New York. I mean,
Well, I mean, maybe more towards the northwest of New York, maybe that could be a
Daniel, it's
possibility.
funny you said that. I just read an article the other day that was talking about how bears don't hibernate. It's a misconception.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hibernate. They slow down in the winter, but they actually don't
Right.
hibernate.
it's just like a slumber, basically. Um,
Right.
but now that Stacy's phone is back working, I was trying to get his take on that migration.
What's the question?
Well, I asked if you believe that the Sasquatch actually migrate, and if they do migrate, you believe it's for purposes of food, like the deer, or if it's more like for mating purposes. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so all right, I seen 3 of them at one time a few years back. It's probably about 8 months after Bigfoot Bounty was over with. I was laying on my belly, heard some noise. I was watching a game trail, and one come out, right? And so I'm like stuck, froze, can't move. Well, then I'm about to creep behind this fool because he went on a little bit, and then 2 more come out, and I'm guessing it was like a female and a younger one. So what I think happens is, okay, so it's like if okay, Daddy Bigfoot has got his little family up there. He's got a boy and he's got a daughter and he's got the mama. Well, Bubba's gonna get old enough that he's gonna want to get him some too. I mean, who don't? So, once he gets to that age, what's he gonna do? Bang on his mama? Hell no. He's gonna go out by himself and try to find his own mate. And so I think that's where like they may challenge another family group. That younger Bigfoot may come in and challenge another older male for his women. When we're out that's mainly what we're trying to do. We do grunts, we do aggressive stuff. We actually got some of the stuff up on our YouTube. Some of the grunts we got back, in return. And we're trying to challenge them into a confrontation to where they'll get close enough. We figure if they're going to try to hurt us, I can get them close enough to me to where I can get the DNA that I need or the body. I mean, I know a lot of people are against killing it, and like to me, it don't make a fuck. But I understand where people come from when they say, yeah, I don't want you to kill it, but I don't want me to get this hair sample from me darting this Bigfoot, because I have a really nice dart gun. It's about a $4,000 dart gun, top of the line, and let's say that I darted it. let's say I legitimately darted a Bigfoot, and I know I darted a Bigfoot, and the hair comes back human, or something of that nature. I don't want that argument there. If I've got the body, the argument's not there.
Right. Well, see, I like
You
the point
know,
that I like that point you made, because you said if they're going to challenge other family groups, maybe we're looking at some of these tree structures as like a wrong thing in their survival. Um, it,
what do y'all think that they mean? I mean, I have my opinions on what they mean, but I mean, I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, because I kind of stay off the line and try to stay away from. And it's the same thing I ask my guys, like, because if you was to ask, or if I was to ask any of y'all, hey, what's the name of somebody that hunts Bigfoot with me? You don't really know. They stay off the line. They stay out of that drama, and I don't want them polluted with other people's thoughts, because Matt Moneymaker has kind of wrote the book on how Bigfooting goes. Love him or hate him, he's a good friend of mine, but he kind of laid down the way everybody does it. They go out in the woods, they scream, they holler, they knock on a damn tree. When have you
Yeah.
hunted for a deer or a turkey or anything else and went out in the fucking woods and knocked on a tree or screamed or done some shit like that? It doesn't work. This is not real life we're living in.
right.
Yeah. You're
I
right.
believe
You're
I
I
right.
agree.
believe
Absolutely.
I believe your best chance on finding a Bigfoot is to not listen to all this noise in the community and go out there and actually find out what works on your own. You know what I mean? What
Hmm. That's what I do.
through trial and error, go out there and figure it out. Don't, dude. I'd never carry nothing. And okay, so Bigfoot's making these tree knocks. We've all heard the tree knocks. They're a thing. Have you ever picked up a fucking stick off the ground and tried to hit it on a tree and it make that sound? It doesn't. The stick that's on the ground is usually rotten.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you hit it, it's kind of just a little dead, limp sound to it. I believe they're doing it with their mouth or something else. And I got a guy on my team that can do the same exact noise. He puts his damn thumb in his mouth and like pulls it out and it goes,
Plop.
it's really loud. And
Yeah.
I think they may be doing it like a black bear pops his jaw. If you've
Or
ever heard
sometimes oh
a
yeah. Or
black bear in distress will go and pop his jaw. It makes similar sound to that of a wood knock.
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm to the point now that when I go out in the woods, all I carry is my camcorder and a GoPro, and I'm by myself. And
Yeah.
when I
That's
go
the way you
in,
have to be,
because when I go in, I'm quiet as a mouse, and I listen for everything. But
Exactly. And that's what I wish, people would do more of. I understand going out is dangerous by yourself, depending on where you're at. It's more dangerous than others. But like the only person I've hung out with and I became good friends with and have done a lot of squatching with is Les Stroud. He has a fairly different belief system on the Bigfoots than I do through his own personal experiences, but he's out there by himself, and he's doing it just like I do. Wish everybody would do that. Maybe the results would be more, because going out like a BFRO trip, and I'm not knocking these people. I'm just talking. Going out in a group outing, you're going out with 4 or 5 people. You ain't gonna fucking see a deer, let alone a damn Bigfoot. And we know deer's real. You're making too much noise.
yeah,
That was the main thing on Bigfoot Bounty. All them other teams we were on against, you had your camera crew. Well, so they were gonna walk around the woods with their camera crew, and so you've got 4 or 5 people at this point. What we would do is we would get into a good point where we thought, hey, this is a good place. Animals are coming through here. I'm putting everybody on the ground. Y'all sit down and shut up. I don't want to talk to you till we get out of the woods. We'll talk about it later. It's not that important right now. You know,
Right.
if you've got more numbers, you have to set them down. You have to be quiet. Otherwise, be by yourself, because Indians didn't go out in these huge ass hunting parties.
mm,
They usually went out 2, 3, maybe one of them at a time. They go out and kill a deer and then bring them back to the little village they live in. They didn't go out 20 deep. You know,
Usually they had
but
like a lead guy and a couple guys stayed back. Yeah.
yeah, I
From
mean, it's
what
all
I've read.
about being quiet, and then another thing that comes up when I go out, I'm 9 times out of 10 barefoot. Which is a little dangerous, I guess, because of the snakes here, but your feet are naturally made to walk in that shit. That's what it's for. We never were to put shoes on our feet. That's something that came along when we got smarter. When we were first made, our feet are just perfect where they don't make no noise when you're traveling through that shit.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
with a snake problem that's here in Florida, even though I go out with no snake boots on, I'm more quiet. I'm more attentive. I move slower. I see a ton of more wildlife, than as if I've got my snake boots on and I'm just fucking tromping through the woods, sounding like an elephant.
Yeah. That's being barefoot is the best
Bigfoot,
thing. But I tell
it
you,
is, especially if you can do it. If it's
well, I
something,
mean,
people should go barefoot.
yeah, I mean, some areas are great for it. Now, Florida, that's a great place because it's sandy and everything. And like where I live at, where we live at, yeah, we're inside of a big solid salad bowl that's nothing but limestone and and mountain laurel brush. Different kinds of wood.
Oh wow,
It's kind of hard to go barefooted. But
yeah.
like I went to a pine thicket this morning coming back from turkey hunting. I don't care how quiet I tried to be. Like you said, I sound like a herd of elephants coming through the damn woods. You could have heard me a mile away. And I was, and I was, and I'm usually quiet when I go through the woods. But
Yeah,
I was like a damn elephant.
that's what you just have to step back. You find your spot where you want to be, and then you get to where the wind's blowing in your face, and then you sit down. The wind control is another thing.
Well,
Bigfooters, a lot of Bigfooters do not hunt real animals. You know what I
right.
mean? So they've never killed shit. They don't know anything about it, and so I think that's why you've got 60 plus years of Bigfoot in here going on, or however many years people have been doing it since the PG film. It's kind of it's dumb. I hate to be classified in that group.
Do you do you,
Because it's
how do you figure that most people say a Sasquatch is 5 to 1,000 pounds. Even being barefoot, how is it that they're able to move in silence? Is it
there ain't
just
no
a
fucking there ain't no fucking 1,000 pound Sasquatch. Sasquatch I seen would look like they're about to starve to death. They may have been fucking 300 pounds tops.
Well, see, I agree with you in certain respects, but the one I seen in my area had to go every bit of 750. It was like 10 foot tall.
And they may. You see, in your area is going to be different than mine. As you get to the equator, the animals get smaller, the people get smaller. The heat is a big deal to do with everything. So, like down here in my area, there ain't no.
Shit, even the damn deer down there ain't no bigger than the Saint Bernard.
Right.
Exactly.
I've hunted on that national
You
forest down there, and the deer. I think the biggest deer I saw looked like a Sika deer. They look like little dogs. They ain't
See,
got no
well, if for
size to them.
anybody on the West Coast, our white-tailed deer are as big as the black-tailed deer out there. Their
Yeah.
white-tailed deer in California and Washington are fucking huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the white-tailed deer down here, they look almost like rabbits.
yeah,
Yep.
In comparison, you know what I mean?
ours up here. I mean, you get a 240-pound buck. You know what I mean? You hear stories. Well, 300 pounds in New York. So the closer you get to
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah, but if you look at everything, the closer you get to the equator, they just get fucking shorter and skinnier, and it's the way it is. You can't survive if you're fucking 400 pounds down here. You know what I mean? You're gonna
Right.
sweat to death. You're gonna fucking die in no time,
They're skinny and lanky. Yeah.
just like me. I blame it. I blame it on God. So I blame it on God and the position He put me in.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I mean, so maybe in Washington, you would have this hibernation, you would have this migration. It makes sense that in the mountains, he would come down with the weather. As the lady was saying earlier. But down here, we don't have that. We may get fucking 20 nights a year where it freezes, maybe. You know. So your hibernation, your migrations, it's going to be pretty much following the food. So like a pack of hogs will walk down one river, they'll walk down the Apple, and you can follow them. They'll just go down it for weeks and eat all the fucking food, and then they'll go hook over the next waterway, and they'll just feed the whole way. And that's, if there's any migration going on down in Florida with the Bigfoots, it's definitely they're migrating with the food. You know what I mean? With the stuff they would eat, the hogs, the deer. See, Rick Dyer don't know that, and he's trying to be Florida skunk ape tracker, and good luck to him. He's going to be in the same boat with Tim Fasano.
Oh man.
Hey, I think you hurt his feelings last night, talking about his poor head.
I like Rick.
That was
I
bad.
like Rick, man. He's a good guy. Me and him are in a movie together. It's an actual movie, motion picture. It's Tom Green's in it, Les Stroud, a bunch of other names. And I got him this role. The director's like, hey, do you know anybody that would be perfect for this spot? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I know somebody. So, hey, Rick, I like Rick a lot, dude. I mean, he's did some hoaxing in the past, but shit, them people fell for it. So that's their own fucking fault. It ain't my fault. I knew it.
Absolutely.
When's the movie come out, or what is it?
It's called Interview a Monster, and it's pretty much a B movie, like a Bigfoot movie. I don't know how much of it I can tell, but it should be out later this year. We got some shooting going on in May, and then hopefully it wraps up in June. I'm ready to get it done. So I got a few other projects I got coming up. So but yeah, Rick's full of energy and life. You know what I mean? And he's a good dude. He hasn't never cut me shit. He never lied to me. I'm a salesman as well, so I understand where he comes from. If you can make money, props to you. You can sell a car or anything you want to if you can make money off of Bigfoot.
Well, I believe the Bigfoot community needs some energy in it. It needs some life. It really does.
It's dead, dude. It's dead. And I backed away from it because a lot of these, before I got to where I made a name for myself, I wanted to meet these people. It's like, oh, person and this person. And then now I have. And what I found out is that all these people are two-faced. They put on this facade that they're a really good person, and they want you to respect them. And that's what I like about Rick, is Rick's in the same boat as me. I don't fucking care if I piss you off or offend you. What you think about me personally ain't gonna fucking matter. It ain't gonna change anything. The proof is the proof.
Yeah.
So.
Well, everybody's in it for something else, but if everybody should be in it to prove it, and the debate just gets so ridiculous that you can't even talk about how a Sasquatch survives, or you can't really even do anything because everybody's always at each other's throat.
Yeah, that's why I backed out of it, man, because it just gets dumb. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I want to be the person that does it. If somebody else does it, I'm gonna be pissed off about it. So, I mean, for me, it's like a.
Well, don't be mad at me because it's coming very soon.
I would be mad at myself that I didn't do it earlier, because I want my name to go down in history. I think that's my one ticket for people to remember me in 200 years, is that. But that y'all used to talk shit about Stacy. You used to pick on him, ain't no Bigfoot. That crazy motherfucker went out there and figured it out. And that's what I want. I want to feed all these people that play the crow.
What makes him think that he's the world's best tracker? That's the thing that makes me laugh.
Okay, so if you're gonna promote yourself, are you gonna promote yourself as a fucking Yugo or a Mercedes Benz?
Well, I'd go for an off-road vehicle. I'd go for Mercedes Benz. What the hell you think I meant?
Tell him, Fred, Jeep.
Nobody that's promoting themselves.
Yeah, because
nobody that's promoting themselves is going to be like, "Hey, man, I really suck at this, but I'm out here doing it."
Yeah,
I do the same thing. I'm just as guilty as he am about it.
Yeah, because I asked him last night, I said, how long have you been doing it? I think he said 2007, 2008 or somewhere around there. And I told him, I said, I've been doing it since 1981. He said, well, I'm the world's best tracker. Okay, fine. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm 45 minutes away from Rick right now. Like, staying is 45 minutes away from his house, and we've yet to hang out. And I just got to get my ass down there. I'm busy all the time, but I'm gonna go out in the woods with Rick Dyer and see how good he can track logs, let alone a fucking Bigfoot.
Well, he stated he had some samples that were being tested. I don't know how true that is, but he said he couldn't talk much about it. So he said it was actually from the part in the movie that was real and
Oh
shooting,
shit.
you know. Yeah. So
Oh well.
it is what it is.
Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know nothing about it. That's my comment on that. And maybe he did
Yeah.
kill a Bigfoot. I don't know. If he did, fucking more power to him. But
Well, here's the thing: if he did kill it, he's not a good tracker at all because he didn't track a damn thing.
nope. Nope.
So as long as he gives me his hat, I'm good with that.
That fucking hat is gay. That fucking hat looks like that fucking hat looks like Bret Michaels would wear it, dude. I would not be caught dead wearing that hat.
Hey, Stacy, when I saw him with that hat on, you know, I thought he was somebody else from Las Vegas.
Of course you did. Thought the motherfucker was famous. He's walking around like goddamn Cowboy Copeland.
Well, what do y'all think about the damn government having a say in this Bigfoot thing? Because I've heard the government has had one, but it died on them, and then they got some out of a fire in California that was still alive, but they were badly burned. But you never heard anything else about it. What do y'all think about that bullshit?
Okay. So I went to church with a guy when I was a kid. All right, didn't know him. I didn't know he knew anything about Bigfoot. He was a forestry worker. There was a big fire here in '94, and now I was like 10 years old at the time. This dude's in his 30s, 40s, whatever. And then later, when he figured out I was into Bigfooting, he sat down and did an interview with me, and he straight told me. But when he described the Bigfoot, it sounded more like a dog man. Okay. It had a protruding snout. The ones I seen kind of had the protruding snout that I could see what he was talking about, and so you have to figure what happens to the logging industry, because your biggest logger in the country is the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So what happens to the logging industry, and you can use the spotted owl as an example, if Bigfoot is found. What happens to the camping industry if Bigfoot is found? Who in the fucking their right mind is going to go out there in the woods if they know there's some 7-foot fucking hair-covered creature running around fucking with? Nobody. It's going to kill the industry. It's going to kill the logging. So it would make sense to me that the government would cover it up as much as they can. I firmly believe there's probably a Bigfoot killed every year. And so what do you do? Okay, so you're normal Joe. You're hunting in your deer stand. You shoot a Bigfoot. Who do
And
you
you call
call?
it.
Okay, I call the sheriff. Well, the sheriff calls FWC or Fish and Wildlife.
Yep.
Yeah, you call the game warden, and next thing you do, the game warden, the body disappears, and they're like, okay, hey, go ahead and tell your friends you killed a Bigfoot.
Right.
Who the fuck's gonna
They
believe you?
take the money and tell you to shut up about it.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It makes
you get
sense.
the men in black show up at your house and tell you you didn't kill a Bigfoot.
Yep.
You better not ever say you did.
See, the government, I think, they know they exist. They know what's out there. They've had them. They've seen them.
They do.
It does affect a lot of things, like Stacy said, the camping. But if they did come out, they're going to say, "Well, look, you've been camping for the last millennia, and everybody's been fine." But you do see people like David Paulides writing that missing 411, where a lot of people go missing from campgrounds. So you don't really know. You don't know. It's
Parks.
I got a
Yeah.
newsflash for everybody. These creatures ain't nice. I don't know when the fuck this idea that these Bigfoots are bringing around flowers and they're just happy-go-lucky creatures. These things are beasts. I would fucking hate to.
So you're
Right.
so you're saying that they're, well, I can understand being aggressive, but like my area, the ones I mainly see are the juveniles, but I got one big one. What he does, he kind of taunts the other people who come in. He'll follow them out so far, and then he'll stop. They hear somebody stop and try to look and think it's a bear. Then he'll step out from behind the tree and stand there for about a minute, and then turn around and walk away. I think the size of him, it torments people, but I don't. I know they're aggressive because the one I got with his back to me, everybody kept ragging me. Why don't you approach him? And the first thing I said, would you approach a mama bear with cubs?
Exactly.
No,
Go ahead
you wouldn't.
Go ahead and don't leave when that Bigfoot tries to run you out, and see what happens. Good luck to you.
Well, I've been lucky so far.
Yep.
They really haven't bothered me much. Because I go in and I do off the wall shit.
That's what you have to do. Keep it fresh, man.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see some of my videos, you see some of the off the wall bullshit I do. But
Yeah.
it helps me, do what I need to do, and everything like that. But
Yeah.
it has to be. Now,
Well,
Steven.
Fred,
Yeah, go ahead, Leo.
I was going to say, Fred, I'm going to be there in a week. And for you to say they haven't bothered me yet puts a little fear in me.
Why? I mean, like with Daniel and his daughter there, had two come behind the cab, just stand there and watch them.
I know,
I believe
and that's
I believe
okay.
the only time they get aggressive is when you constantly harass them.
I think so too. If you mind your business, leave them alone, act like you don't see them, just go on about your day. Unless you're aggressively stomping in their territory or near their babies or whatever, I think they pretty much would rather be just left alone.
Well, like that time I went in, apparently I got too close to the clan because they lit my head up like a Christmas tree, And
Yeah, I don't need that.
They did that twice one day, but they ain't done it since. And right now, I think I got 3 in my area right now in this one spot. I ain't seen no more big tracks. I've been seeing the 5 or 7 and the 10-inch track, or ones I've been seeing so far. But I haven't been to the birthing area yet. That's one of the
I'm hoping
places
that
we're
was
going to go.
wonderful experience, but at the same time, I'm scared, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
So,
nothing to be scared about.
Exactly. Well, what do you got to say about
I'm gonna
it,
ask
Steve?
Steve.
Well, what do you got to say about it, Stephen?
About what?
Is that about what?
Okay.
There's a whole lot going on.
Where you live at, okay? Hey, Daniel, take over the show for a minute. Daniel,
Okay.
take over the show.
Yeah, I'm
Hi,
here.
guys. Okay.
Hello.
Steve, where you
Fred.
at?
What you doing?
Fred must
What
have
are
a
your
phone call.
thoughts?
Yeah, I think Fred just wanted to know your input on what they were discussing. Hold on, we get to hear Fred because he don't know how to mute himself.
I'm doing Okay.
Listen in.
Yeah.
You come in.
I hope he ain't doing
Okay,
no
cool.
funny business on there.
Hope it's not bad news.
Cool. Yeah, we're just having a discussion on
No, we're eavesdropping on your phone call.
survival of Bigfoot.
Stacy just texted me, and he stated his phone keeps cutting out.
49 views.
Oh.
So
Stuff like
he
that.
said that he'll get what do you say? I'm home and a good
I
service
got to
on
put
the weekends.
a double float.
So on
Yeah.
the weekends,
New
if we
needle and
did this again,
clothing.
he'd be interested in doing it again.
Cool.
Okay.
That's Stacy.
Sounds like
Alright.
Fred equals.
I went ahead and put Fred's conversation to mute because since we were talking, we'll stay.
Yeah, you know,
um.
I understand Stacy
Steve?
was on the phone, but
Yeah. Steve,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on how aggressive or not aggressive?
I think
And
it
it may
depends on the
be
animal.
situation, or are they not?
I'm sorry, you broke up on that last part.
What are your thoughts on about Bigfoot being aggressive, and when they may be aggressive or when they may not be?
Well, you're dealing with a wild animal. I mean, they have their territories, and anytime I guess they feel that you're encroaching on them, I'm sure. I guess it all depends on the animal too.
Yeah.
If and also what I see a lot of difference in different parts of the country. It's you know it seems like up in the northwest or here or even around down this area, they're very docile towards people. But you go down the south, they're very aggressive and don't want you around them.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and then you know, what their food supplies like. If they're hungry and they see somebody, walking along, and there's a group of them, and you might be an easy meal.
Yeah.
I think it
Absolutely.
depends on a lot of circumstances.
Well, with that being said, Steve, I mean, yeah, like if they're in an area where their food source is slim, and perhaps they see like one of us strolling through the area, yeah, I could see them being aggressive because hey, they're protecting what little they do have, or it could be like you said, a combination of a little bit of everything, you know. So,
I don't.
um,
I don't. You were talking about migration earlier. I don't believe in the word migration for them, and I say that because to me, migration is like what you see Canadian geese do: go from Canada down to the south, or hummingbirds from north to south. I mean, that's a long distance. I as far as them, I think they move. I think they move for food. And the reason I say that is because when you're high in elevation, when winter comes in, you have snow and ice, and the plant life dies, so the deer and all have to move down in elevation to get to it. So I do believe they go down, up and down in elevation depending on the year. I do believe that. I believe they move, but I don't think they migrate over a long distance. A black bear's
I
area is
really.
about 15 miles. That's their basic area. They roam about 15 miles, and you know, and these things, it's hard to say. They could have a 20, 25 mile radius of their area, or even better. So,
you don't
Okay.
think it
Oh,
would be
my
more
thought.
just to be elusive?
Well,
where
my
I live
thing-
at, they can disappear from here, from around all of us in hunters, and move 10 miles, and there's a whole lot of private land that they can go on that's not active.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, they've got places they can go. They know. I'm gonna tell you, I don't care what anybody says. A deer can't read a calendar, but I'd be a son of a bitch if he don't know when deer season's coming the week before.
It's
I
in,
will see deer up until a week before deer season, and then after that, it's like poof,
yeah,
gone.
it's intuition. It's like they're programmed.
So, I think
well,
Exactly.
there's a lot of land they can go to. I don't think they have to go far. They just know they have to go further back, or deeper to get away from humans for a certain time. It's like, okay, it's cold weather coming. They know, they feel cold. They say, well, that means man's coming into the woods. We need to go deeper. And then they, once it starts warming up, they say, oh, okay, well, man's not going to be so bad, so we can come out some.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense because if you think about it, what humans are lazy. We are lazy. As a population, we are lazy. So when I go hunting, I try to go deeper than all the other guys in the woods, and that's probably accounting for why I have a lot of big bucks on my wall. Um,
What's the average distance a person will walk from his truck, 300 to 500 yards max,
Right.
because they don't want to drag that deer all the way back. The biggest bucks are going to be the furthest back in the mountains, and that's where you got to go.
Right.
A
Now,
lot of folks
I can't
got
speak for Bigfoot, but if you take a deer and you deer hunt, you watch what comes out of the woods first. That old buck ain't dumb, and he didn't get old from being stupid. He sends them does out first. He says, "You go in that there and eat for a little while, and if nothing captures your ass, then I'll come out and get something to eat." You
Right.
know, you can watch them, you'll see what I mean. Them does come out first for a reason, and that old buck ain't dumb, and he didn't get the big horns being dumb.
That's right.
my daddy always went in the woods. He was the one that went in the woods. He might have hunted. He hunted by himself a lot. He hunted in a hunting group some, but Daddy was the one that always went in the woods. And Daddy got a lot of big racks in his lifetime, a shitload. And I agree. Yeah, the hunters are lazy now. They sit on the side of the road, um, across from a field, and sit there in the truck.
Yeah, they just wait for him to come out.
Exactly.
You know.
Wait for them to come
I tell you what,
out.
go on Google Earth and look in your area. Look how much forest is in your area, or wherever there's, or wherever the Bigfoot or seem to be sightings. Because if you look, usually if you look and they're having a lot of sightings near population, I guarantee you there is a huge forest nearby that they can get deep into.
Oh yeah.
Some kind of state or national forest. It's guaranteed something's got to be around there they can get deep into.
Yeah. Now in the Shenandoah Valley, we have a lot of cave systems, and
Yeah,
squatches can go into any of them. I know of one cave you can go in on the Augusta County side, the side I'm on, and come out on the other side and be in Nelson County.
yeah.
It's about a mile long, but it's got plenty of places, in there for a family of squatches to get in there and hide. And no one ever knows they're there. So that's
And
one that's one
you get
possibility. That's one
if
possibility of them uh, instead of migrating or getting out of the weather and everything, go in, and stay hidden like that, especially during
I
the
think
winter
they'll
you
use
know
a
time.
back.
cave if they know that cave has a back entrance. I don't think they'll put themselves in a situation where they're boxed in. And most animals won't. If you ever watch a wild animal, they usually never put themselves in a situation where they are in a corner. They always want an escape route. If they need to get away, they're going to be able to get away.
Exactly. What was you saying, Leo?
I'm sorry, Leo. Go ahead.
I was saying that yeah, I'm sorry I was interrupting. Um Once you get so far in a cave system, underground it's 52 degrees. Isn't that what it is underground constantly?
Depends on what area
No
you're
matter
in.
if it's summer or winter outside, it's like 52 degrees way back in a cave system or underground.
Yeah.
So winter or summer, that would be cool in summer and warm enough for them in winter, and it would make great sense to
Right.
get way back in there. And people do check out caves and walk way back in them, but not that many. And like Steve said, if they've got another way out on the other end, I think yeah, because the mountains of North Carolina, we've got a chunk load of caves and all of that stuff, too. Well, it runs, long, down from the mountains run from, down Virginia into North Carolina into the top of Georgia. And it's all the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
True. True.
but
True.
while I got the floor, and it don't really matter, it don't mean much, but talking about migrating and moving, say at the bottom of the mountain on just where it gets flat, the berries and all of that stuff is going to get ripe in May or June. But then you go up the mountain a little way, they get ripe in July. And you go up a little more way, and it might be August before they get ripe. Now, I don't consider that migrating, but they, could follow as things get right through the summer.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely true. True.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead. I'm done.
yeah. Well, now I need to hear from Daniel. See what his theory on what you just said there.
All right. I'll mute myself.
How about you, Daniel? Okay, folks. I guess we're coming down to the end of the show now because everybody's wanting to be quiet. Everybody's got themselves muted. But anyway, the way I see it,
I'm here, Fred. I'm here.
I know.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
was actually
I
talking
didn't.
to Tom, the guy that you wanted to have on. He was actually telling me a story that actually happened to him. So that's why I muted it really quick.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
go
then
ahead.
tell us.
But
I can tell you. Let me just go ahead, say what you're saying. Let me hang up with him in a minute, and I'll get back with you.
all right.
Yeah, and Fred,
You
I'm
know.
sorry. I didn't know I was actually muted. I have a switch on my
Oh,
headset that I turn on and off sometimes. I
oh,
didn't.
okay.
I forgot it was muted. So.
Yeah. But
But
the way it's coming down to, I mean, somebody is going to get a Sasquatch, whether it be Stacy, me, Ryan, Steve, Daniel, or maybe the Gulf Coast Bigfoot Research Organization. I want to hear your thoughts on that too, about them wanting to kill one big male, put him on a slab. That right there is a question that everybody can ask and give their opinions on why they think that Gulf Coast should not shoot one. Or do you think there's a better way to kill a Bigfoot? I mean, to get the DNA from a Bigfoot. Go,
well,
Steve.
I'll go ahead. Okay.
No, Mike. Go ahead, Daniel.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, I won't keep it long. I'll keep it short. And well, for one thing, Stacy Brown had mentioned, something, that he has a what is it, tranquilizer gun, which, something like that would be more, in my opinion, would be more safe,
You have.
possibly, maybe. But then again, as far as the subject of killing a Bigfoot, I know a lot of people are against it. But then again, a majority of the Bigfoot community, I think it's safe to say that they agree that, hey, we need a body. We need a body. Even science says, give us a body. You know. Um,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, you won't catch me killing one. But on the other hand, if if it came down to it, if I had to protect myself, if I was like being attacked for some reason, maybe then there you go. But out of self-defense, let me say it clearly. That way, viewers understand. I am against killing. I want to get to know these creatures, you know, uh, and learn about them and learn from them. But then again, if there was an aggressive one who felt the need to attack to protect, I would have to protect myself. I mean, lately, yes, I have been going to the woods, and I have been, not just for hunting season. I mean, I go out. I've been going out hunting lately. And even though it's still noontime, I still been going out packing. I mean, I've been carrying my sidearm with me and wearing it on my side, fully loaded. There's other predators in the area, and that's the thing. I know what's in those woods. I know the mountain lions. I know the bears. Bears usually won't bother you, but you never know. You might get that one that, for whatever reason.
Rattlesnake.
But as far as yeah, oh, absolutely. But as far as killing one, I mean, yes. Out of self-defense, I will say yes. It's necessary if you have to. Killing one just to prove, you know, that's kind of like if you question. Yes and no, but I believe, well, if using a tranquilizer, if that equipment or gear was accessible, and if that would be more logical, I think. Well, more humane.
Yeah.
But so
What
But
what was the question? If you would kill one?
what what's your opinion on like East Coast? I mean, the Gulf Coast Bigfoot Research Organization. They want to put one big male on the table. Now, if the government has already done that, God knows how many times, but they, like you said, but they will not release the DNA because of loggers and tree huggers and every other thing that's against us in the world.
Well, they're not going to put it out there just for. I don't even care about the loggers. I mean, I care about them, but don't let me rephrase that. What I believe it pertains to is they will not rewrite history. They're not going to rewrite everything that we're told. Like we stated the other night, they're going to try to fit it in somewhere, somehow, some way, and it's going to totally be wrong anyway. But the opinion on killing one. This is where I was at. When I had my first sightings, I was gung-ho. I am going to kill one. That is my duty. That is my job. I'm going to prove this. I'm going to show everybody that questions me or did question me. I'm going to put a bullet in one and all that. Well, the last 2 years of research have totally, 3 years, have changed me. And when you feel like you get a relationship with them or something, I don't know how to explain that, but the feeling that came about was I can't kill one of them, even though I'm a hunter. I kill deer. I do what I do. I felt that I could not kill one of them, and I continue to feel that way. But I have mixed emotions. But I don't want to take those mixed emotions into the woods because I don't know if they can vibe off of that or not. And then if they get that off me, the interaction I'm going to have is totally different. And I might not get anything at all.
Yeah.
Because then I went back to thinking, I do want to kill one. Like, because we do need one. Because you get tired of being belittled or bashed or no evidence is good enough, or we're not scientists. You're not, I'm not. 99% of the Bigfoot world are not scientists.
Yeah.
We got a few anthropologists, we got a few professionals in their area that have decided to take on Bigfoot in some aspects, but
very few.
right.
Well,
There's no end all be all. I mean,
yeah.
and the only way that could happen is if there is a body. People do have to realize this. Like, do they want to prove it? I mean, some people want to prove it. Some people just want to go about their daily lives, continue getting proof for the next 20 years, and pass it on to their kids and just say, this is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of guy, I like answers. I really like answers. I know they're real, and if I would love to prove it. Hell, if I could hold their hand and walk them out and show everybody and say, here it is, great, and not have to kill one, that's terrific.
Well,
That'll never happen. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a mixed bag of emotions about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like me, when I had that one come out in front of me in '81, I saw a human 3 times the size of me, actually 20 times bigger. But when I looked in his face and I looked at him in the eyeballs, his eyeballs were solid brown. I couldn't see no white, but it was like it was a human. And yeah, I've had a couple in my sights quite a few times during squirrel season. I could drop any of them. I can't do it. I just cannot bring myself. There's a better way to get. I mean, yeah, we can get all the DNA we want. The
Right.
problem is, even though in the lab it comes up 100% positive Bigfoot, they are told to say inconclusive or contaminated. They
Well,
are
yeah.
they are
The
told to lie
universities,
about that.
if they come out, they're going to lose their funding.
Exactly. And I think that's a
So
bunch of crap. I mean, my opinion is I know they're human hybrid mixed with a hominin. The hominin is what the hell we don't know. We get that hominin, then we know what Bigfoot is. The way I see it, it's going to have to be through bones. I mean, like dinosaur bones. Go back that far. A couple thousand years. And
well, there
and
there's many ways to look at it.
yeah. Well, a lady friend of mine, Sharon Day, told me that she said that they was I can't think of the name of the word. Wait a minute, let me go back here. I'll tell you exactly what that word is.
Derivative.
Wait a minute, I'll tell you. Here we go. Um, let's see here. Uh, Here we go.
Yeah.
Denisovans.
Denisovan.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That is
Well,
what. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can
That's a,
be.
do what?
They can be, but that's the thing. It seems like the reports. I believe that there's multiple types of Sasquatch.
Oh, there is.
So I
There,
believe, like black, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican, our nationalities. I believe that there are multiple mixed bags of Sasquatch, and that's why you see some that look like humans, some look like apes, some look like Neanderthal,
yeah.
some
Yeah.
are all
That's
over the map.
No two
that's
squatches.
a
No two squatches
type
are
one.
alike. Yeah. No two squatches are alike.
Right.
They're like humans. I mean, they're human to a point, but they everything. Like I got one clan that's got complete hair on their face. I got another clan ain't got a bit of hair on their face. You know, I got some with wide, flat noses. I got some with long, skinny noses and big, fat noses. But every one of them's got thin lips and walnut brown eyeballs and everything.
Well, like I said, everybody's look different. Where mine are black, yours are red. There's the climate and everything has something to do with all that too. But like Stacy said, his are like 300 pounds, where the one I seen was close to like 750. So
Shoot, I got one that's about 1,200.
yeah, so are they the same species? I don't know. I mean, uh,
Where's Stacy? What state? Oh, Florida. He's
Stacy's
in
in
Florida.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right, but think about this. In Canada, they're 12 to 15 foot tall, and they're very, very aggressive. But you come over toward Washington State and over to Washington State and come down, their size gets smaller, they get less aggressive.
Right.
You know,
I think out west they're less aggressive. That's kind of what I've got the gist. But in my area, I feel I've got a mix. Some are aggressive, some are not. So it's all a toss up. I mean, and as far as like a skeptic out there, they could be listening in like right now and saying that's crazy because I've never seen one. Everything they're talking about is off the wall. Um, but really it's not because we've in our group here have experienced these different things. So at some point, I think that everybody's out there trying to get that DNA sample. Well,
keep talking. I got to go to the bathroom.
what if
It's not going to be
what if
proven. The government lets it be, I think.
right, but what if Daniel gets a sample and his came back as human, but his looked more Neanderthal? And Fred got one that says it's an unknown primate, but his looked more like apes. So I don't know. Steve, is Steve still here?
Yeah, he's listening.
Yep.
No.
I have never asked you. Have you seen a Sasquatch? And if you have, what do they look like in your area?
Face to face.
What was that?
Face to face, just a blur here and again, but nothing to tell you what it looks like.
So basically, just like your black color moving, and that's it.
Dark flash.
Okay.
I've not seen one either, Ryan, but I'm hoping to next weekend.
Well,
You
the one thing I have to say about that is prepare yourself, because if you're really ready to see one and you happen to see one, don't go there gung ho, set up on your mind as I'm going to see one, because then it doesn't happen. Go there, have fun, learn, and then if it happens, it happens. Because 9 out of 10 times it's other people. Like I was metal detecting, or guy was hunting, or fishing, or kayaking, and then you hear all these stories that they seen a Sasquatch while they were doing something totally irrelevant.
I
So
know.
yeah,
Because you're not.
I've
Because,
been, I've been interested in Sasquatch for years. I mean, 30 years, 40 years. And and I figured out, I guess, I don't know, 20 years ago with my husband when we moved up to the mountains of North Carolina. And I figured out that people that went searching for them very rarely found one. But people out just minding their own business, not thinking a bit about it, would run across one. So I decided then I was scared of it, and if I looked for Sasquatch everywhere I went, I would never see it.
you won't.
I do agree with Stacy that they are not
That's
nice.
kind of go, sometimes.
Well, you know,
I know
they all got
I
different.
don't have, but I do have hopes, and it'll be fun either way.
Like I said, prepare yourself, because for people like myself, I was just a normal guy out there doing my thing. Um, Metal detecting, we were having fun, outdoors, doing whatever, and it changed my life drastically. It affected me really bad for the first, it still affects me, but I have it under control, and I became a researcher, and I'm doing the things I want to do. But I can understand why people go through these traumas when they see this thing that, as big as it is not supposed to be there. And even people that are ready, researchers that are looking, they freeze up when they see them, because it's not supposed to be there. So you have to prepare yourself, because sometimes it like I said, it grabs you by your ankles, shakes everything out of your head, and you're just it tosses everything all around. No matter even if you want to believe, it does that.
Well,
Well,
the way I see
said
it,
I'm
the way,
scared to death. I'm very excited too.
the way I see it,
So
the way I see it, after that first one, I see them now. I'll look at them. I'll say something. I'll throw my hand up and I'll walk away.
And here's my thing, not to cut you off, Fred. My prediction is going to be this for Lael. With Lael being so scared,
She's gonna be
if you
holding on to the back of my pants, going down through
listen,
the woods.
right,
yeah,
but listen to this. This is what's going to happen.
Okay.
This is my thought on this. That if you take her into an aggressive area, they are going. I don't know if you have a decently aggressive area, but if you do, I believe they're going to sense that she's scared, kind of like a dog would do, and you're going to get a lot of interaction. A, because she's a female, because I don't know if you take females in that area.
Well, I took Jennifer Sandberg in there, and the only thing that I heard, but I didn't tell her, I didn't say anything. I let her say it to me, was that they were chattering, they were talking between each other about me having a girl in there. But they
Yep, and
didn't. But they
I
didn't
think
get. But they didn't get aggressive though. They just curious.
I think they're going to feed off of her being scared, like a
and
dog.
well, my cousin
Exactly.
is going, so
Smell it.
we'll be two girls.
Right. So if you take her into an aggressive area, I think you might, rocks might be thrown, little things. You might get the evidence that you want, that and something that she wants at the same time, but just don't push the limit. But I think that's what may happen.
I'm
Hey,
not
can
pushed.
I answer? Can I answer first question when y'all get done before we get to something else?
Yeah. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Steve.
brother. Yeah.
Um, I hunt. I hunt deer, hunt squirrels. I eat what I hunt.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put this out there, and people may get mad at me. It is what it is. I despise trophy hunting. I despise it. These people that go to
Despite
Africa and kill these lions,
Yeah.
poaching.
kill these giraffes, and whatever else they can kill just to take a picture of it is
Well,
sickening. If you're
well, it's
not
like
going to eat it, don't kill it.
yeah. Well, it's like Jim Shockey when he travels the world and he goes and he hunts these animals. The only ones he hunts are the problem animals. Now,
But
people, Yeah, but people going there, shooting elephants, shooting giraffe. What the hell? Why do you want to shoot a giraffe, man? I
Well,
can't
now,
see
now
that.
that being said, I understand that these things can be nuisance animals. Anything can be a nuisance animal.
Right.
Now here's my thing about killing a Bigfoot. First of all, what happens if they mate for life? That's just like someone killing your half. We don't
Exactly.
know. We don't know if they mate for life or not. I don't goose hunt because of that. I'll eat a goose if somebody else kills it, but I won't kill it because of that reason. They do mate for life. I mean, if it mates for life, I don't know, but I'm just saying I couldn't kill it not knowing. And also, you're not going to eat the thing. I mean, unless it's going to kill you or kill somebody, to take a
I
life
agree.
is really got to be the last resort. And I don't need to know that bad. Soon enough, one's going to get hit by a car. Something's going to happen. There's going to be another way one dies, and we'll find out. But not knowing these creatures or not knowing anything about them, and just to kill one to make a point, to me, I don't find that. I just don't believe in that. I don't think it's right, because we just don't know.
Well,
What happens if we find out it's got human in it?
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
I don't think they're part human. I don't. But what happens if we find out that they are part human? Now that's
Well,
murder.
okay. They passed a law here in Virginia, and I think up in New York too, that if you kill a Bigfoot and they do a DNA and find human DNA in that blood, you will be charged with first degree homicide. That's the only bad thing about it. And
Seems
if
like doesn't Washington or Oregon have a
huh,
law too?
Oregon,
Doesn't seem
California.
Oregon, California, and Washington State has got it. I think one coast, one state on the East Coast has got it that you're not allowed to harass, shoot, or bother a Sasquatch. Period. It is in the books. And a lot of people, don't realize that. And the only way that we are going to get one is like Stacy said. He's got a gun that is specifically designed to shoot and dart the squatch, but the dart will fall out as soon as it hits him,
It collects
providing
DNA.
DNA, hair, meat, and blood.
I have brought up the subject of darting before. Um,
What he has is a dart that collects DNA. Now, if you tranquilize one, you have to make sure you have the right amount of juice, because if you overjuice it, you can kill it. If you underjuice it, you're going to have one
it,
wake up on you. That's not counting if there's any of his buddies around. Protect them.
it,
Well, that was the question
really,
I wanted to
All right.
ask him. Where is he getting the tranquilizer, and how is that regulated?
I don't think he has a tranquilizer. What he has is a hollow, like if you go to get your tongue pierced or whatever, they're a hollow needle. This
Yeah,
thing projects a hollow needle, and it collects the tissue in it.
it's like it's a dart gun. It's a 22 caliber dart gun. It's the same kind that the veterinaries use out in Africa to get DNA or blood sample from a rhino or an elephant or something like that, without dropping his ass.
All
Dan's
right.
got a question, Fred.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. From the live chat, we got let's see, a question here. It's just a statement with a question. U.S. Marine Corps goes on to say, I just can't understand where they hide during the day. What do you guys think?
Well, actually,
That's a good question.
yeah, actually, they,
Possibly, maybe actually
yeah. Now I don't know about other
more
areas.
out and about, possibly more in the plain sight.
Yeah, actually, they do hide in plain sight. The problem is they're like a bobcat. They could, you can walk in there and they can just freeze, and you can walk right by them and never even notice they were there. Like this morning,
Just like a
like this,
deer.
yeah, like
I,
this.
Yeah.
Hey, 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 like this morning, I went
Oh
turkey
yeah,
hunting.
Fred.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fred has something to share. Yeah.
yeah, I went turkey hunting this
yeah,
morning. I get to my place, I sit there for an hour, 15 feet to my right, there's a juvenile sitting there watching me, and I never knew he was there. But when I got up to leave, he looked like he stuck TNT up his ass, and he bolted like a stick of dynamite. But I never knew he was there, and he was in plain sight. And I sat there for an hour and never saw the damn thing. That's how good they can camouflage themselves by being in the open. I hope that
You
ain't
Right.
talk about
If I
pine
was,
trees earlier. When I was a
huh?
kid, we used to hide underneath, make forts out of the underneath the pine trees where the branches came down. Now you take a brown pine needle, and if you got a amber color squatch, he gets up underneath that pine tree and curls up down in the pine needle. You walk by him all day and never see him.
Yeah, I was in the very back of the pine thicket, right there where I've taken Daniel back there before, so where all those little tree breaks are back there in the back, Daniel.
Yeah.
I was right back in there, right where it come out of the pines, and I was sitting next to an oak tree, and it was up against an oak tree, and I know, and his coat was a reddish black. He wasn't but 3.5 foot tall, man, but
but
I
you gotta remember to answer that question that the viewer asked. Everybody continues to have sightings around the pine thickets, and what a better way if me or you were going to hide or stay out of the elements, we would go to the pines for cover. We're not going to stay out, in the saplings when it's 30-mile-an-hour winds, or what about when it's hot?
yeah. Well,
We're not going to be out in the sun. We're going to go in the pines or in the valleys and the creeks.
right now, I'll tell you, I have a couple videos with squatches on them, and I I went in one day and I baited them with cinnamon buns. I come back 20 minutes later or half hour, whatever later, and I panned out in front of me to my right, and I started panning, but I started to bring the camera, zooming back in. Well, I got to right in the center of me. Now, when I went from here from left to right in front of me, you could see. Didn't notice until I got home. You could see from it would be its from its center of its chest over to its right behind the tree. But when I panned back, you could see it go like that. Never heard a thing. And when I got right over here at 8 feet, when I panned from right to left, this little squatch stepped out from left to right. But I'd never seen them while I was sitting there, and I had the camera in my hands panning, and I never saw them.
Right.
That's the thing about it, I mean, they are that good. I mean, yeah, I get a bunch of juveniles because at their finest, they screw up. Not meaning to, they're just not experienced enough to do what the adults do, but they're learning. But on the other hand, they do a good job at camoing by being in the open.
Yep.
Right. The best place to hide is in plain sight,
Yeah.
But like Stacy said, they don't have to go that far. A lot of these guys are off in the mountains and in the craziest places, hundreds of miles to nowhere, and it just doesn't make sense. My area is 30 minutes from my home. There's one house on that road, and there's like 12,000 acres, and there's a lot of forest. But they can access other routes and cross other roads, and people just don't understand the concept. There's thousands and thousands of deer, right? Well, I could go out there and I might only see one deer cross the road that day. But
Exactly.
at night, there's hundreds of deer crossing roads,
Yep.
and it's just so you don't know. So, but I believe that the pine thickets and the valleys are two of your main hiding spots.
Yeah, they are. Because believe it or not, I'm 5 minutes away from my research area, but you have to go through a recreation place called Shenandoah Acres, and it's a place there called Ridgeview Acres, which is a modern housing development that meets up with the national forest. Then
Yeah.
on the other side, you got Gertie's Lane, which is a mile long that butts right up against my research area. You got a power line that separates it, you know. And I've talked to a lot of people who live up in Ridgeview, and they said they've seen things, and but they can't explain. They've seen dumpster diving, but they don't know what it was. They assume it was a bear, but they got locks on them, but they break the locks, and the locks they use is them big, the ones where the bar is about big as your middle finger. The big master locks. They say they break them, and it takes hands to break something like that. A bear can't break it, you know. But they stay mainly on the other side in the national forest. They come down like that one that come out in front of me back a couple of years ago. I'm coming down the dirt road. I see one come out. I thought it was a bear because it was on all fours until he stopped in the middle of the road and stood up. But he was going toward the housing development. But apparently I stopped him. I must have interrupted him or something. But
It was probably.
they, but I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell exactly what they do. To a point. Like I say, I got birth narratives in my area. And I do know I do know that I got a ton of juveniles. But every once in a while, I'll hear the adults. They'll communicate back and forth. They'll whistle, do bird sounds. And like I tell people, if you listen, if they say imitate a dove, there's one note that a dove makes that a squatch cannot make, and you can determine if it's a squatch or not when he communicates with another one. Because the funny thing is, you hear them, but it follows you. And doves don't like to be around people much. They'd rather be eating corn and stuff like that. We don't hardly have any dove on the national forest that I know of. I might have heard one or two in the last year or so. But it's kind of
Oh, we've
weird.
got doves here. We've got
Yeah.
mourning doves here all the time.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And
Sad.
Lael
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Lael posted a question as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
She's asking why. Yeah, why do they seem to travel power lines? And that's a good question. I've heard different theories, coming from Matt Moneymaker on finding Bigfoot, but my opinion than anyone else, because I know I haven't really spoke to him. I was more or less trying to listen and stuff, and take care of something else. My opinion is, for one thing, that's where a lot of deer like to go on the graze. And if there ain't a local field nearby, it's a feeding ground for deer. But the other thing is, the way my input and take on it, it's like a freeway. A lot of animals like to take the path of least existence, right? Resistance, yeah. So I mean, that's my input on it, and especially if the power lines run through the middle of the woods in a remote area. I mean, hey, it's an open space. You're private. Why not? I think, I think hunters like to do the same thing. I've done it myself as a hunter. I mean, walk the edges of a power line, stay close to the tree line.
One of my
But
friends
yeah, that's a good question, though. It really is.
question in, and I agree with your answer, Daniel. I think so too. It's like a freeway, and it
Right.
usually goes through. Yes, they go through towns and subdivisions and things, but they also go through woods, especially in the mountains.
Oh,
You
wait till you
see
come up.
great just power
Yeah,
lines, and
Fred
it's
will
all.
show you.
I agree.
Yeah, you'll see the power lines, the power line poles, the wooden poles that run through the woods in Fred's area. I mean, when I go in Fred's area, that's one of the places I like to go. Not just to look for possible hairs snagged onto poles, but those are the areas, because the areas it's a lot of soft ground. The ground's soft, and I find all the different tracks in there. It's easy. It's one of the easy places to find tracks.
You know what? A lot of
Not
go ahead.
Huh? Oh no, I was just finishing up. I was just saying, not to mention the fields that are in the area over there too.
Yeah.
That's actually where one of the first places I found tracks in Fred's area was the big field, Kennedy Fields. So that was awesome though.
Well, a lot of people overlook the fact, this is my belief too, everything you said I agree with, but when you're in the woods, you don't get a lot of sun. So a lot of times you'll
Yeah.
catch a big buck or whatever sunbathing. So if a Sasquatch is staying hidden a lot of the time and they want to get out and there's a swat cut through the woods that actually, the deer come to where there could be food or easy travel or whatever, and they want some sun, they can get it there. Animals do get cold too, regardless of what they are. I mean, we get cold. It's, they got blood, they're mammals,
Right.
whatever. But forests are dark. You very small patches of sun get into certain areas. Other than that, I mean,
Move so quick that
Oh
it's
yeah.
patch is gone.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some of these power line power line areas, some of them have really tall, grass, and where I believe, like, deer bed down, like you're saying, they could be laying there to, absorb the heat. Also, it's an easy place to lay down. One thing it kind of popped into mind. It's maybe a little off that topic, but I just wanted to share it. And it's a scenario. This is something my father had told me a long time ago, and this was up in north where there was a group of them. They were hunting. They were doing a drive, and they were in a field. And what I'm about to share, in my opinion, this shows the intelligence of other animals, not just a squatch. But this is a story, short little story about a deer, a buck, a big buck. Well, the drive that these people were doing, they were walking through the field. They were all spread out, and by the time they reached another part of the field on the other side, they didn't realize, but they happened to realize they walked directly past a buck that was bedded down. They went right past him. He was smart enough to stay down and never get up.
Yep.
That's how smart they are. I mean, they take that chance too, but hey, get up and have a chance of getting a shot, or stay down and stay hidden. That's how smart they are. That's their instinct.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean,
yeah. From my
people underestimate a lot of animals and their intelligence.
yeah,
So,
because my experiences with
but
bucks
yeah,
are
I
like
just wanted to share that.
like over in Highland County, over in Doe Hill. Every buck I've seen bedded down in the daytime was about at the top of the ridge, probably about 20 yards down. That way they can catch the wind coming up, coming over the ridge, and to the left and to the right. So you can learn from that.
Yep.
See, they can't be strict meat eaters either because, they're more omnivore or opportunists. They can't, I mean, they're obviously great at being elusive and hunting, but, there's so many stories of, oh, I seen this one, it was carrying a deer, or a group of them tackled one, or, you know, but they have to eat every day, so they must have to eat berries and other things also, so, and when the sun hits those power lines, a lot of them areas grow certain things, berries on the edges and etc. and whatnot.
Well, I'll tell you, in my area, by around about the middle of May, on into summer, we got I got boats and boats and boatloads of blueberries. And I know every animal in the woods eat blueberries.
You ever notice a lot of the Indian accounts from back in the day is when like the mother and the son were out picking berries, and they actually talk about we seen a Sasquatch near the berry fields or berry
Hmm.
patch.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
I've seen lots of accounts, excuse me, from the Northwest and Alaska about picking berries and Bigfoot
yep,
and other places too, I'm sure. But I know I've seen a lot from the Northwest and Alaska, the Eskimo, the natives picking berries and running into Bigfoot too.
Lael, I seen your post there in the chat. Earlier I spoke with Fred, and Fred asked me about my buddy Tom. Asked if he wanted to come on. He actually worked late. He worked till like 6, and he was beat. So he was like, next time he'll join in, and maybe in the future, whatever. He's one of the guys I research with and go out with. He's actually a skeptic, but he's never seen one like I have. I've seen multiple, but he's turning the page, kind of. He's seeing the structures, he's seeing the footprints and the casts and everything, and he's starting to do his own research, and he's learning some things. And I didn't really tell anybody this, but recently I had a thing happen to me. Like they talk about, Fred talks about being zapped. Well, I told you guys in the last thing where something like that happened to him. He got sick, and we were in an area, and as we left, he got better, and that kind of changed his mind also. Well, about a week, 2 weeks ago, now I don't really believe in mind speak, okay? I mean, everybody from Les Stroud to many people have said things about mind speak. Well, I got up the other morning, I was getting in the shower, and it was like something had popped in my head or was trying to talk to me, and it told me to go. There's a certain area where we research where one tree where I had a pot at, another tree was pushed over it in another direction, and the pot was taken with all the marbles that were on top of it and everything. And it said follow that tree, and the number I got was 250, and it said look for something black. So I actually sent him down there, and he walked like 250, 300 yards down that direction following that tree, and he found a tree with a black stripe going up the tree, which we hadn't really been in that area a lot. I think I told you that before. And that's where we actually found one of the biggest structures. So it was kind of amazing to me. Well, he just called me, and he's like, I really forgot to tell you. He's like, I was so busy today. He's like, last night, I was woke up at like 4 in the morning, and he said this thing, like, it popped in my head, and it kept saying to me, tell him I'm real. He said, I have no idea what it was, but it bothered him for like 5 minutes until finally he answered in his head and said, okay, shut the hell up, I'll tell him. He said it woke him up, and he actually paced back and forth a few times, went to the bathroom, and didn't understand why he couldn't get it out of his head. And I had told him about the instance that I had 2 weeks prior when it happened to me, and he was like, nobody can really believe you until something like that happens. So when it happened to him, that's why he was all like frantic on the phone a little while ago, and I had the thing on mute because he was telling me the story of that, how that happened to him yesterday, well, early this morning. But it's something odd. I don't believe in the mind speak. I mean, I almost have to because it happened to me, but I'm not a big fan of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of
Your mind couldn't comprehend what your mind was telling you.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys, but it's happened to me. It's happened to him.
Well, it could be precognition. It could be intuitiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be many things.
Right.
But it's just odd that when it told me that, he goes and he finds the biggest structure. It tells me basically where to go. Follow that tree. And the number I got was 250. It's very amazing. And he did that.
Was the black stripe like a lightning strike or pain or?
Right. The black stripe on the tree, it's in one of our videos. It looked like a lightning strike, but the tree was not struck by lightning. It was the black stripe going straight up a tree, probably, I don't know, from the ground up 10 foot. And it was probably, I don't know, 4 inches wide, 5 inches wide. But it was enough of a marker where I told him to go look for something black. And when he seen that, he was like, well, I'm going to sit here. So he sat there, he flipped out his chair, he sat there, and it was crazy.
Damn, Rick, you're a little late, ain't you?
Yeah, man.
Well, your buddy I had your buddy on here.
Who?
Stacy.
Yeah, we had
Tracy
Stacy
Brown?
on here. I was trying to get you two on here at the same time, but no, you had to wait, or was you just get off work?
No,
Wait a
man.
minute.
I actually just got my Bigfoot tracker truck back from the rev shop, and I just installed the lights. I don't know if you could see them or not.
Yeah, they
I
look
see.
like mine.
Cool. Look good.
Are they the 100-watt ones?
They are 500 watts on top, and I got 300 watts for the two on the hood.
How many batteries you got?
2.
Yep, that's what you
Hey,
need.
hey, Fred, there was another question in the live chat. You want me to throw it out there?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I know this one here is mainly directed for you concerning the question. I mean, maybe someone else's experience. I don't know. But the question is, have you guys ever seen them do the belly crawl or climb in trees? I
I've
can't say
seen
I
them. I've
have.
seen.
I
I've
haven't.
I've seen them do the belly crawl. I have yet to see in a tree, but the belly crawl, oh yeah, they're good.
I actually have a photo of a juvenile in a tree that I was actually photoing
Oh.
out. Yeah, I was actually photoing out in front of me, looking at something else. And when I took the photo, up in the right peripheral there, you could see that it was standing there. And when I shared the photo, another lady from another group actually said, "You need to look up and see what's in the tree." And you could see the tree's like a gray, a sapling. The big saplings are like gray. I don't want to call it a sapling, and maybe like a maple, but you could totally see it. The face, the brow ridge, the eyes, the nose, the flared nose, everything. It was black, so you could totally see it. But I haven't seen him do the belly crawl. I do have the photo of a juvenile in a tree.
Okay.
Mm.
All right, Rick.
Yes,
Here's
sir.
what the thing is. What is your thoughts and theories on the survival of Sasquatch in modern day time, as far as build construction sites and all this crap?
Logging.
Hey, wait,
Yeah,
before
logging.
you answer that, if I had to answer that, if you would have asked me that question again, in order for Sasquatch survival, stay away from Rick Dyer. You might get shot.
Oh,
All right. What's your thought on it?
I think that Sasquatch is going to be okay because of all the land that we can't touch, and there's a lot of national forest land. There's hundreds, thousands of acres that we can't touch, and I believe that Sasquatch is going to be a-okay. As far as the builders and shit, or stuff, sorry, I think that as soon as they start doing what they're doing, I think Sasquatch knows that it's time to pick up and move on. So it's not like the Richter's calling me. Let's see.
That sounds good.
Okay, am I still in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not like that. Oh no, they're going to tear down my home. As soon as the first truck pulls in, I believe that Sasquatch knows exactly what's going to happen from experiences in the past. So I give them a little bit of credit, and I hope that answered your question.
Yep, it did. All right, who else
Can
we
agree
got
with
here
that.
now?
Yeah, I
Okay.
lost my connection. Sorry.
Yeah, I had mine too. Mine popped off, but it's back on.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing though. You said that was Richter calling you. I hope his mom's doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at the hospital right now.
Yeah, he actually
Oh.
said he's leaving the hospital now, so let me call him and make sure everything's okay.
All right.
Yes,
I come back in if y'all want me to.
Sure.
Okay. Bye.
Let's talk quick.
I knew.
Prayer.
Yeah. Well, now I know why he didn't come on. Yeah. See, Daniel, I tried to get Stacy and Rick and Dyer on here at the same time, but it didn't work out like
Yeah.
that. Everything, you know.
Things happen.
Yeah, I sent Richter the link too.
Yeah,
Whatever problem.
I talked to Richter earlier, but he said that his mom wasn't actually doing well, and so I just sent my prayers, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to encroach earlier.
Yeah.
Or bother. I agree. He needs to be with his mama.
You know,
Yep.
I have a couple other
So,
friends whose mothers ain't doing so well. Now, one of them we all know, and you know, Tracy Arnold actually brought it up a couple times to me, and some recent chats I've actually had with him. He said his mom's health, is a big concern. Because if we all
Yeah.
know a little over, but I don't know if I'm accurate with the time, but I think it's been about a good year now. About a year ago he lost his father, so
Yeah. So he's gonna be worried. You know. That is part of nature, man. And ain't nothing
I've
we can do
lost
about it.
both of
But
them in the
there's
last 10 years, and it's damn hard.
Hey, that's a good topic actually to bring up. Not to change the subject, but related to Sasquatch.
what.
Prayer for.
Um, do you think that they actually bury, or do you think that they're like cannibals and eat?
I think they bury their dead because there was a guy back in the early '60s. He caught a video. He done a video. Lord knows where it is now. That a family unit that buried their young. I mean, they buried the dead. They grieve. They grieve like we grieve over our loved ones. And I
What do you think, Steve?
believe.
Look at elephants, whales, and things. They will wail and cry. Some animals don't seem to get that upset, but a lot of animals do.
Right.
And I think that they probably
You think they bury their
bury
dead?
their dead or take them to a cave or somewhere.
All right. What do you think, Steve?
And
Well, I did one of my videos was about that. I think that it is possible that they cover them with something, but uh, it's also a free meal. So I'm under the assumption I got a strong feeling that when one gets sick or gets really hurt, it becomes an easy meal.
I don't know. I
So
can't picture that. Yeah. What's the question, Daniel? Daniel.
Oh no, I already. You're just now getting my comment. I had actually already asked it, so
Oh, okay. So
about the
Steve, you
belly
think?
crawl thing.
Okay. So you think that they actually eat their dead for
sure,
food, or you think they eat it for food, or do you think they eat it to whatever?
I'm sure they eat it for food. What is it? 70 to 80% of a chimpanzee's diet is monkey, and that includes other chimpanzees.
Well,
They've been
Mm.
seen there, covering their dead over with leaves or whatever,
yeah,
but
because
they also eat. You know.
yeah, 'cause I do know that chimpanzees every once in a while will get in all the males will get in a pack, and they will attack uh smaller monkeys and eat them. So they are
Yeah.
carnivores. They
Yeah.
do eat meat,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen documentaries on it and everything.
80% of their
also,
diet are the
And
monkeys.
Say what,
there
Layla?
are, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said, what'd you say?
There are still a lot of tribes, the Amazon and way in Africa, still a lot of tribes that are way out. Um, beyond regular people
Yeah,
that
still
eat.
headhunters. Yeah, they're headhunters. Yeah, they still exist.
There are still, I think, some headhunters, but there are tribes that still, if Granddaddy dies, they'll eat part of Granddaddy, and that is so they think that that will give them part of Granddaddy's strength and
Well, it's like
power.
yeah, it's like Jeremy Wade
It's
said when he
a symbolic, you know,
yeah, well, it's like
thing.
with yeah, it's like what Jeremy Wade said today when he went to learn how to fish with this tribe that used to be headhunters. They said that human meat tastes just like pork, and this is coming from the group that the tribe that he went to learn how to fish with nothing but a string and a piece of weed. You know, they showed him how to do this and everything. But they were used to be headhunters. That their grandparents and parents used to be headhunters, and they said that
That they,
they ate their dead because they said that when they have a battle or something and they won the battle, they would eat the dead, or they would
Yeah.
attack and kill and eat them.
Yeah.
well, and
On the
again, a
subject
lot of tribes,
of
it's supposed to give you the power or the strength or whatever over your enemy or the power your strength your granddaddy had or whatever. But through the years, people who have had to eat, like plane crash victims or whatever,
Yeah,
and
the abominable snowman would get them.
they say as bad as they hated to
yeah,
do it,
Yeah,
it didn't taste that bad. It was, yeah.
yeah,
I think they say sweet. Don't they say it's sweet?
I reckon.
Human.
I also wanted to ask a quick question. Eh, did do you remember when Melba Ketchum had that video, uh, the Erickson project, where
Yeah,
Matilda was sleeping on the ground? I,
yeah, I
I
remember that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get like Daniel's and everybody's, Steve's and everybody's opinion on that. Um,
All right,
did you
let's
did
start from. All right, on the screen here, I got Daniel, Leo, Ryan, Steve, and me. All right, so let's start with Daniel on that part right there.
well, this is one of the other things we discussed on some podcasts a while back. But
I
I'm gonna
know.
give I'm gonna give one answer with a two-syllable word. It's bullshit.
Okay, okay, Leo, what do you think?
Um, it was a really cool video, but people have come up with another couple of videos of like Chewbacca or not Chewbacca, but a very similar thing that wasn't real.
hmm
It could be real, but there's enough doubt associated with it that I could not say yes or no.
Okay, Ryan.
um the hair looked really interesting. The breathing looked really interesting. As
Yeah.
far as anything else, it was definitely not definitive enough. But I'd like to know that this where my skeptic comes in. How would you get it to breathe? Even if that was a fake, uh, for lack of better terms, this is Hank. This is Rick Dyer's Hank. How do you get it to breathe? Rick said he paid that guy a lot of money, and it still came empty. So how could they have done something like that and then
Well,
make it breathe and movable and uh, have it all done correctly? I mean,
It's a
Just
person in a
oh, okay,
breathing.
I
okay.
got I got one logical
Wait, wait, wait.
explanation for that.
a
All
person,
right,
right?
no, no, hold on.
No,
Let me
no.
let me answer this. Let me answer this.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay, number one. I know for a fact that Squatch do not have canine teeth that look like dogs. They got teeth like ours, but they're bigger. Okay.
But
Um.
dog men.
Now Melba said that.
But I have to
Wait,
stop
wait,
you
wait,
at that.
wait a minute. Melba, the way the video went and the other videos I've seen, they have a lady or a scientist in a ghillie suit that could get within 30 yards max from her without before she growls. Okay. Now, if it was fake, that's my opinion. If they were fake and she laying there like everybody said, oh, it looks like a Chewbacca mask. Her coat looks like a carpet. I mean, you're living out in the woods, and they could probably use um um a balloon to blow air in, exhale, and all that crap. And then it shows other videos of thermal night vision of family a family group of squatches, you know, through the Erickson project. I think it's real, but I don't think that that particular Matilda. I think it was a costume. That part when she sits up and looks at everybody and growls, I think that right there is real, but I can't say that the costume or the her is real because I know for a fact the Squatches don't have canines unless they're a dog man or something like that. They
Well, see,
got teeth like
that was where I was going to disagree with you on the canine because when that juvenile that I seen, um, when his teeth were exposed or when he curled his lip, his bottom his bottom right tooth,
yeah,
I could see the point. His bottom right tooth had a point.
because
That tooth
yeah,
right
because
there.
I've had everyone I've seen is opened, has showed their teeth to me, and I've never seen any canines.
Well, canines would be up top, the two top fangs, but
Right. But I've
I was
never seen any on the bottom either.
the bottom one on that
That
juvenile.
But that's right there
that
where the
would take
difference. But that's where the difference comes in at. Different clans might have them, different clans might not. I'm just telling you what I know
take
from what I've seen.
that
You
takes you
know.
back to class 1, 2, 3, and 4 for A, B, C, and D. Hair on their face, no hair on their face,
Yeah.
canines or snout or not.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve.
Now, whether that all exists or not, I don't know, but.
Yeah. All right, Steve. What's your answer to his question?
My answer is another question. How much did George Lucas get paid?
How much is what?
Did George Lucas get paid? Well, that wasn't nothing but a Chewbacca costume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you want to
I
talk
had
about canines? You know, in
I
my
had
opinion,
other
an
people
animal has
that
to have canines to eat meat
Oh,
in
we
the
got too many.
wild.
We got too many people talking at one time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
No,
ahead,
no.
Steve.
Wait, go ahead, Steve.
Talking about canines, for an animal in the wild to be a meat eater, I believe it has to have some sort of a canine. It's got to have some canines for eating the meat.
For
We
you
cook
talking
our meat,
about?
so there's no our eye teeth. We have eye teeth now instead of canines because we have adapted to cooking our meat and making it tender.
But
But a
you're
wild animal
yeah,
yeah,
has
they
got to
need
have canines.
they need it for ripping.
Exactly. So somewhere in a squatch's mouth, I'm sure he's got if not big canines, big eye teeth that are pointing.
Because when you look at Matilda, she's got her mouth open. You can see the canines. I mean, the teeth at the top here. You could see them plain. They wasn't long, but they were probably about like that. But you could see them. You couldn't see
his
the bottom,
eyes.
but the top ones you could
Do
see.
do you honestly think that costume was able to be made that well?
Christ, yeah. Nowadays,
I mean, okay,
they
let
Yeah,
But would you really
Yeah,
spend
no,
would you spend $100,000 on a costume?
I don't think she's had to spend that
I
much on it.
wouldn't.
Well,
And
Well,
even if
Eric,
she spent 5 grand on it, she's asking for all this money online anyway. So
I mean, Erickson's got the money.
Exactly.
You know, Erickson's got the money to do anything he wants to. You know, all right. It's like the Patterson Gilman film, Patty. Everybody said that was a costume, but yet in that time, in that year, in that
It
time
wouldn't.
frame, they went to California. They've talked to the guys who make costumes for horror movies. Said
right.
we do not have the technology to make a outfit like that. It's too perfect. Okay, now go from that time all the way to Matilda. You see
Yeah,
her.
they
You
could
see.
do it. I know what you're saying. They
we have the
probably could.
technology.
You see
Eh,
her sleeping.
But
Okay, then you see her show her teeth. You see her turn her head.
what are they getting out of that besides ruining their name?
How do you know the runner in their name?
Well, everybody bashed Melba. I mean, everybody and their mother did.
Yeah, but what people don't know is, yeah, Melville's a veterinarian, but what people don't know is, man, she's got Texas State University, the DNA specialist. She's got other um, places that she has does DNA at. You know, not just her. You know, because she is what's that word?
All in
What?
all, but it's still up for grabs, yes or no.
Forensics.
Yeah,
Oh,
forensics. There we go.
I know what I'm gonna do for Lael. I'm gonna buy her a new microphone.
who?
For you, I'm gonna send you a new headset.
Thank you.
Yep. Because I noticed that when she talks, it cuts out
It lags.
and it lags. Yep. So that'll be your birthday present. Happy Squatchmas, or your Christmas present.
Mhm.
Hey, it was 2 weeks ago.
Was it?
Turn the
Hey,
big
and to jump
5-0.
back on the,
Say what, Daniel?
I was gonna say to jump back on the topic we were talking before the whatever Yogi the Bear got brought up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when we were talking about the as far as they're burying the dead and possibly they're um possibly eating their dead. I
Yeah.
know if we kind of look in some of the to the Native Americans, and I believe a lot of the legends and the stories behind the legends has some truth to them. I mean, um, there's some legends that say they were cannibalistic. You know, so I believe that that could be a very good possibility. And like what Steve is bringing up, as far as our known primates, they are very cannibalistic. Like a lot of our chimpanzees and bonobos, they go after the lot smaller primates and stuff,
Weaker.
and so forth. Yeah. So yeah, and then with that being said, as far as eating their dead, I mean, as far as burying their dead, I mean, just like we discussed before, and I stated, in my book that I published 2 years ago, it was, you know, I mentioned that as well, along with a few other things explaining it. Because as far as in our known primate world, that has been observed, and and not just with primates, but there's been a few other animals, like I think Lael was actually mentioned in a few. Foxes actually bury their dead. That's been observed. And there's a bird. They believe it or not, there's a bird. It's I can't remember the name right offhand, but it's very similar to a crow. Um,
A raven.
nah, not a raven, more like a magpie type bird. Uh, they've been known to bury their dead.
Well,
Um,
magpie's a crow.
right. Well, it's something. It's not exactly like that. It's something that looks like one of them.
What was it called? Jackdaw or something? I don't remember.
Mm,
Well,
I can't figure. I'll have to try to figure out and look it up. But yeah, it's along that line. It's one of those birds. But those are just a few of the animals that are that are known to do such a thing. you know, and then one of the things we mentioned in several podcast shows before, along with this whole topic here, I know I brought up the subject about bears, because bears, that's another thing. I know you guys hear me talk about bears and comparing them to Sasquatch a lot. And, like we've mentioned before, bears are, a lot of times they know their time of death. And I believe this, they know when they're getting weak. And it's like almost like someone getting old and then their just body slowly shutting down. And I believe they get ill, and that's what happens. Like when the bear, it's actually cats. Cats are the same way. A cat
Yeah.
is the same way. Um,
Dogs are too. A
oh
dog will
yeah.
go.
I mean,
Dog go crawl under mama's bed or somewhere that they feel safe off in the corner and die.
hmm
If I mean, I'm
Yep.
talking about house dogs, but
Oh yeah.
outside dogs,
Yeah.
and you'll find they'll go to themselves by themselves, and you know, and die.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's all part of their natural instinct. It's something that's like implanted into them naturally. And and I believe like
Eskimo,
I think Steve mentioned. Yeah, like with Steve. Yeah, go ahead, Leo.
Eskimos, and there's a number of old tribes around the world that when they're old people feel like it's time for them to die, and they'll go off into the woods or out onto the ice or out somewhere by themselves and just sit there till they die. They, like I said, native people,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's sad, but at the same time, if you truly know it's coming, and Bigfoot may do something like that too.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
folks, we're winding down now, so we got about 5 more minutes. So let's make it good, guys, for the last 5 minutes. Steve, let's
okay.
start with you.
Well, I got one question on the live chat.
Okay, go for it.
So
All right. This is a question coming from the U.S. Marine Corps YouTube user. The All right. This is referring to Barb Shoop, something she had on cam or video, and I'm not really familiar with this footage. But here it is. This is what he says: the cloaked something that Barb Shoop caught on video. He's
yeah,
I
asking,
know.
is that even possible? And if so,
Well,
is that why
I'm
we never see them?
not
what
Now
what
we've talked.
what
familiar with
what
the
she
video.
what she caught was possibly a juvenile that was supposedly half cloaked. What she caught was movement, running, coming out of it, jumping out of a tree, going to the left, and then hauling ass.
But now, with the question he's referring to, I mean, we'll ask it too: is it even possible to be cloaked? We've had these discussions before.
Me personally,
You know,
I don't believe in cloaking because cloaking to me is using nature to camo yourself.
exactly.
Yeah, so
Right, I agree.
I agree on, and I think in general, Barb believes in that too. You just using nature to camouflage, other than they just disappeared. But there was also a possibility that there were twins or two there,
No, it was just
um,
one.
and it did cloak, as in it was there and it was gone in that sense. But um, she never said she thought it disappeared. She's kind of in the middle and agreed that it could very well have been just jumped and blended in and was gone.
All right,
Yeah.
But
all
it
right.
was interesting.
Well,
All right. What do you say, Ryan, on that?
I say I started bridging the gap between Sasquatch and Woo for a reason.
What is a
Uh,
woo?
they call everything, well, that's what they call it. WOO, the Woo
Yes.
factor.
Oh,
All the
another.
all
In
the
other words,
craziness, all the fantasy craziness that people believe in.
oh, so in other
All
words,
the crazy
Well,
ideas, the
it's just a,
cloaking.
it's just a craze.
paranormal.
Yeah.
Right, the
UFOs.
paranormal.
I
Well,
mean, yeah.
that's why I started the site, to try to figure out what is real and what is not real. I know they're like a flesh and blood because of what I've seen, and I stated I've experienced some supernatural stuff in the woods that I cannot explain, but I will not directly correlate the two together. So as far as answering the Barb Shoop thing, she's a great person.
She
Um,
is.
do I think they cloak? Well, there's so many ways to go about that. The camera doesn't lie unless she actually manipulated that camera and that footage. What you see is something that nobody can explain. So is it possible? I mean, NASA and scientists are talking about cloaking, and our military having it.
They're already
So,
doing it. They're already doing it.
right. So if we have that now, I mean, it may be
Yep.
possible.
Yep. They already have that technology.
Right. So it may be possible that,
But see,
'cause
we have it through technology.
right, but we don't know everything. I mean, we're still learning every day. Uh, eh, there's so many things. I mean, eh, could it
I
be
agree.
like some form of electricity or electromagnetism, or we don't know. We have no idea. I've tried to relate this to so many different things, even with their infrasound. I mean, there's a lot of things. Just because I don't believe in it doesn't mean I'm not going to look into it.
Right. All right. What about you, Steve?
I
Right.
believe the camera does lie.
Okay. Explain.
Because if you take a picture of something that is in motion, it comes out a blur. A
Uh-huh.
Bigfoot can move very,
Exactly.
very fast. So try to take a picture of something that's moving really fast. Depending on the camera now, you can get a looks like a vanishing image to a part of an image that you can tell. You understand what I'm saying? If it's in motion, it's going to come out looking kind of
Yeah,
weird.
Because
but
well,
this
here's the thing.
that
Here's
that
wait a
that
minute.
that looked like the Predator.
I've never
That
seen
you
it.
could.
Well,
I've
well,
never seen
here,
it.
well, here's the thing about it. She was filming. She just had the camera in hand. She was filming. The camera was still
Yeah.
when that thing took off. So she didn't zoom it like that. She kept the camera dead in that one spot, and it
That,
took off.
right, but the
So
camera can be still. Take a picture of
The
someone throwing a
Eric.
baseball. Hold your camera still and take a picture of somebody throwing a baseball. It depending on the camera and how it pixelates, you may only get a blurry image or a somewhat of a silhouette of that baseball going by.
Yeah.
okay,
The camera doesn't have to move. The actual object can be moving and cause that appearance. It looks like a
Which is
ghost.
true. Which is true.
all right, Daniel. Final thought on that. Okay, we're winding down
Yeah.
now. We're 5 minutes over the time limit. So, um, like I said, my name's Fred Caney, Valley Bigfoot and Inside Virginia Squatch. Check out my YouTube channel, Freddy 59100, and my Facebook, and Daniel Benoit on his YouTube channel, and everything. And y'all have a good night, and thank you.